What would it feel like to live for weeks on a giant steel platform, surrounded by nothing but the freezing North Sea? Hundreds of workers call this isolated structure home while drilling deep beneath the seabed. But how do they sleep, eat, work, and survive out here? Stay with us to discover the hidden world of offshore workers, and subscribe for more incredible documentaries. From the outside, an offshore platform looks like a giant industrial machine standing in the ocean. But inside, it is much more than a drilling facility. It contains living quarters, kitchens, dining rooms, control rooms, workshops, medical facilities, and powerful machinery, all connected within one carefully engineered offshore environment. Once workers arrive offshore, the platform becomes their entire temporary world. The accommodation area is separated from the heavy industrial zones, creating a place where people can sleep and recover between shifts. Corridors connect cabins, dining areas, recreation spaces, and essential services, allowing hundreds of workers to live together without ever leaving the platform. Life inside the accommodation block is carefully separated from the most hazardous parts of the platform. Fire-resistant construction, controlled access, alarms, ventilation, and clearly marked escape routes help protect the people living here. Even ordinary hallways and sleeping areas are designed with the possibility of an offshore emergency in mind. For most offshore workers, the journey begins on land and ends high above the North Sea. Helicopters are the fastest way to reach many remote platforms, carrying crews and essential personnel across open water. The flight may take only a short time, but below them is a vast ocean with no road or safe landing place for hundreds of miles. As the helicopter approaches, the platform's helipad becomes a precise landing target surrounded by steel structures, safety equipment, and the open sea. Landing offshore requires careful coordination between the pilot and platform crew. Once the aircraft touches down, workers remain secured until the rotors stop and the landing area is confirmed safe. After arriving offshore, workers eventually retreat to the accommodation block, where the environment is completely different from the drilling floor. Inside the cabins are beds, lockers, ventilation, lighting, and basic personal space. The rooms are compact and practical, designed to give workers a quiet place to recover after demanding offshore shifts. While some workers sleep, the platform continues operating around them. Machinery keeps running, control systems monitor production, and other crews remain on duty. The accommodation areas are therefore engineered to provide comfort and protection from the industrial environment, helping workers get enough rest before returning to another demanding shift. Feeding hundreds of workers far offshore is a logistical operation of its own. Large commercial kitchens prepare meals throughout the day, while refrigerated storage keeps fresh ingredients available for different shifts. Every meal has to be planned carefully because replacing a missing ingredient can mean a journey across the North Sea. Once the food is prepared, it moves into a dining area designed for workers from multiple shifts. Tables, serving stations, drink facilities, and strict hygiene systems keep the operation organized. At different hours, the same room changes from a busy breakfast area to a quiet space for workers finishing a night shift. An offshore platform cannot simply close at the end of the day. Drilling, monitoring, power generation, and processing continue around the clock. To make this possible, workers are divided into rotating shifts, with one team taking over while another rests. This system keeps the platform operating continuously. While one crew sleeps inside the accommodation block, another may be monitoring equipment or working on the production deck. Shift changes are carefully organized so critical tasks are never left unattended. Even during the quietest hours, sensors, alarms, and control systems continue watching over the platform. At the center of the operation is the drilling floor, where enormous machines control the drill string reaching deep beneath the seabed. Powerful equipment lifts, rotates, and guides sections of pipe while engineers monitor every stage. Below this machinery, the well continues downward through layers of rock toward the underground reservoir. The drilling floor is also one of the most demanding areas on the platform. Heavy machinery, high pressures, moving equipment, and complex procedures require constant attention. Workers follow strict safety rules and maintain clear communication because every operation must be coordinated precisely while the drill continues working deep below the sea. The oil is not sitting in a giant underground lake waiting to be pumped out. Instead, hydrocarbons are trapped inside porous rock formations beneath layers of sediment. Engineers use geological data and seismic surveys to identify promising structures before drilling a well into the reservoir. From the drilling floor, the well can extend thousands of feet beneath the seabed. A long drill string carries the rotating bit downward while drilling fluid circulates through the system. This fluid helps control pressure, cool the bit, and carry rock cuttings back toward the surface. Deep inside the platform is a room that rarely sees the ocean, yet it monitors almost everything happening outside. In the control room, operators watch pressure, temperature, flow rates, equipment status, and production data. Hundreds of signals can be processed here to keep the operation stable and controlled. The control room is not simply watching numbers. Automated sensors constantly compare conditions against safe operating limits. If pressure rises, temperatures change, or equipment behaves unexpectedly, alarms can alert operators immediately. This early warning system gives the crew time to investigate and respond before a small problem becomes a major incident. An offshore platform must withstand forces that a normal building never experiences. Massive steel structures carry the weight of equipment and people, while foundations and support systems transfer those loads into the seabed. Engineers also account for wind, waves, currents, and the constant movement of the North Sea. The real challenge is not simply holding the platform upright. Its structure must repeatedly absorb and distribute energy from waves, wind, and currents without losing stability. Every major beam, joint, support, and connection is engineered to handle enormous forces while keeping the working areas above the water secure. The North Sea can change dramatically in a matter of hours. Calm water can give way to strong winds, heavy rain, and powerful waves moving against the platform. Offshore crews constantly monitor weather conditions because a storm can affect helicopter flights, supply vessels, drilling operations, and almost every activity outside. When conditions become severe, offshore operations are adjusted according to safety limits. Outdoor work may be reduced or suspended, helicopters can be grounded, and supply movements may have to wait. Inside the platform, however, essential systems continue running while crews remain ready to respond if conditions become worse. Fire is one of the most serious risks on an offshore platform, which is why protection begins long before an emergency occurs. Fire detectors, alarms, emergency shutdown systems, firefighting equipment, and specially protected areas are positioned throughout the facility. The goal is to detect a problem quickly and stop it from spreading. If an emergency becomes serious enough to require evacuation, every worker must know exactly where to go. Muster areas bring crews together for accountability, while lifeboats and other evacuation systems provide routes away from the platform. Regular drills ensure these procedures are familiar before they are ever needed. An offshore platform consumes enormous amounts of electricity every day. Generators provide power for drilling equipment, pumps, compressors, lighting, accommodation, communications, and control systems. Because the platform is isolated from the normal power grid, reliable generation and carefully managed distribution are essential to keep both production and daily life running. Power cannot simply disappear offshore. Critical systems require backup sources, so essential lighting, communications, alarms, monitoring equipment, and emergency controls remain available if the main supply is interrupted. Engineers continuously maintain these systems because reliable electricity is not just about production, it is also part of keeping everyone on board safe. When fluids reach the platform from the underground well, they are not ready to be sent directly onward. The mixture can contain crude oil, natural gas, water, and other substances. The first stage is to separate these components using specialized equipment, creating different streams that can then be processed and handled safely. After separation, pumps, compressors, heaters, and other processing equipment prepare the different streams for the next stage. Gas may be compressed, water treated, and crude oil conditioned before being transported onward. Across the processing area, thousands of valves, pipes, sensors, and control systems work together continuously. An offshore platform cannot survive on what it already has on board. Supply vessels constantly travel between the platform and the coast, carrying food, fuel, drilling materials, spare parts, chemicals, and other essential equipment. This marine logistics network keeps the isolated facility supplied and prevents small shortages from becoming major problems. Getting equipment from a moving vessel onto a platform requires precise coordination. Offshore cranes lift heavy containers and machinery from the ship's deck and place them onto designated areas above. Wind, wave movement, load weight, and crane position all have to be considered before every major lift. Hundreds of people living offshore generate a surprising amount of waste every day. Food packaging, used materials, maintenance waste, and other refuse cannot simply be thrown into the sea. Instead, waste is separated, stored, processed, and prepared for controlled transport back to shore. Wastewater requires even more careful handling. Water from accommodation areas and industrial processes passes through dedicated treatment systems before it can be discharged or managed according to environmental requirements. Pumps, filters, monitoring instruments, and treatment equipment work together to reduce the platform's impact on the surrounding marine environment. Offshore work can involve long and demanding shifts, so recovery time is important. When they are off duty, workers may use a gym, recreation room, television area, or simply relax with colleagues. These facilities give people a chance to disconnect from machinery and maintain some normality while living far from shore. The recreation spaces may seem ordinary, but offshore they serve an important purpose. A workout, a meal with colleagues, a movie, or a quiet hour can break the routine of work and machinery. With limited space and hundreds of people sharing the same facility, even leisure time is carefully organized around rotating shifts. Being offshore means spending long periods away from family, but modern communication has changed that experience. Internet connections, phones, and video calls allow workers to speak with people back home during their free time. A simple conversation can become an important part of maintaining normal life while living far out at sea. Technology can connect an offshore worker to home, but it cannot remove the distance. Birthdays, weekends, and ordinary family moments may happen while someone is thousands of miles away. That is one of the less visible challenges of offshore life, balanced by the extended periods of time workers can spend back home after their rotation. Offshore workers usually follow a rotation rather than living at the platform permanently. Depending on the job and operator, a worker may spend a set period offshore before returning to land for an extended break. The exact schedule varies, but the principle is simple. Intense work offshore is balanced with planned time away from the platform. When a rotation finally ends, leaving the platform becomes a very different kind of journey. Workers move through the helipad or transfer area with their personal bags, knowing that land, family, and ordinary life are waiting ahead. Behind them, the platform continues operating, ready for the next crew to take their place. After seeing the machinery, living quarters, kitchens, control rooms, and constant operations, one thing becomes clear: an offshore platform is far more than a place to extract oil. It is a carefully engineered environment where hundreds of people live and work together, surrounded by one of the most demanding marine environments on Earth. Thousands of people around the world depend on offshore workers and the complex systems they operate every day. Their workplace may look like a steel structure in the middle of nowhere, but behind it is an extraordinary combination of engineering, logistics, discipline, and human effort. If you enjoyed this journey into the hidden world of the North Sea, everyone watching, please subscribe to the channel for more cinematic documentaries.